When we look into mirrors, we see a framed reflection of ourselves. We look to comb our hair, adjust our hats, or sometimes just to look. We may or may not like what we see, but day after day we look, and we look, and we look. But when we walk away from the mirror, do we ever really take our eyes off ourselves?
I always felt I was a thoughtful person, and my mom's real thoughtful, and I thought I was too. And so you always feel like, you always think you're putting the other person first, and until something big happens, and then the ugly truth comes out.
Cheryl is a housewife, mom, volunteer at church, and a part-time jazzercise instructor. But one of her favorite pastimes is just to hang out with friends.
Do coffee, go to lunch, Bible study, exercise, walk with friends.
And one of her best friends is Margot.
Oh, I've known Margot since junior high, just lifelong friend. She was the reason I started coming to Heritage. And we're still good friends and do quite a bit together.
Cheryl married her high school sweetheart almost 27 years ago. They started off by renting an apartment and eventually built a bigger house in a convenient location in Rock Island. Cheryl loved it there, but Aaron had other dreams.
My husband's always wanted to live in the country, so his brother lives out this way on Turkey Hollow Road, and so there was some property that became available, and Aaron just has always wanted to, and I've never wanted to live in the country and said I didn't want to live out there when my son was learning to drive because of the roads. And so once he graduated from high school, the timing was right, and so Aaron purchased the property.
So when your husband's dream does not coincide with your desires, the reflection of even the fairest of them all can suddenly begin to change.
Probably if you asked some of my friends, they would tell you I complained the entire time and was resentful. I just didn't like having to come out here every night and bring dinner every night, cleaning up every night, things like that. I really resented it. It was not a pretty time for me.
And the talking mirror for Cheryl at this not-so-pretty time in her life was her friend Margot.
I remember one time being upset as usual and going over to Margot's house because she lived nearby, and she knows me inside and out. So when I was complaining to her about all the turmoil, and she just said, well, Cheryl, have you ever thought about, doing something, for a change is to, as an acts of service, mow the grass out there and just pray the whole time that would become your promised land. I can remember crying on that lawnmower. That's how much I hated it. I still had so much bitterness in my heart.
Still harboring these feelings after months of construction and even after moving into their new house, something happened, and God was finally able to break through.
I can remember doing a Beth Moore study and sitting at the table looking out. I have a beautiful view, and it was something about, is there a place that you feel is your promised land? And as I was studying that, I burst into tears because I remembered that prayer on their lawnmower that, God would bring you to your promised land. And he did, so he answered that prayer.
Now Cheryl's reflection shines a bit brighter as she has learned to take her eyes off herself and her own desires.
You don't realize how selfish you are sometimes. And when you finally get it, it's so simple. And it is all about relationship, first with God and Jesus, and then you use those same principles in all your relationships. And it just works.